Hello and welcome to Kabbalah and the Bible stories. This is where we take stories from the Bible and show how they fit the Kabbalah model. Today we're going to talk about Esau and Jacob. Now, when Isaac first knew his wife Rebekah and she became pregnant, she had twins in her belly. And for a long time, they didn't know that they were twins. They didn't know that she was expecting twins. And during this stage of the story, we're actually looking at Kether, or the level number 1 of Kabbalah, where everything is in unity. We have these two, but they're considered one pregnancy, one potential, until after these two are born. And once they're born, we find that we have two brothers that are not twins in the sense that they're identical twins, but fraternal twins. One is a hairy man named Esau, and the other one is Jacob. Now, Esau was a hunter, and Jacob was just a plain old tent dweller. He didn't do anything special. And one day Esau came back from hunting, and he was very hungry. And so he saw that Jacob was cooking, and he had lentils, so he asked for a bowl of those lentils. And Jacob was very shrewd. In fact, Jacob's name actually means the usurper. And so what he did was offered to exchange Esau's birthright, Esau being the older of the two who came out first, and the beans, for a bowl of beans. And Esau agreed, because Esau said to himself, hey, if I'm dead, what good is my birthright? So he didn't really see his birthright as being the valuable thing that it was. And he decided to sell it to Jacob for a bowl of beans. And from that, we see in other scriptures in the Bible that how Yahweh detested Esau because he didn't value his birthright. And so there was a division. In level 2 of Kabbalah, there is a division. First you have two equal parts, and then one is decided to be above the other or better than the other. One is the path that we should follow, and the other one is less desirable. And so the two are divided, and Jacob becomes above Esau. Now, near his 40th year, Esau decides to marry a Hittite woman, one of the women of Canaan. And this really disappointed his parents, Rebekah and Isaac. Rebekah decides to help Jacob pretend to be Esau so that he can get the blessing from Isaac. She has him go out in the field and get a couple of goats, and she spices them up and gets them all prepared so that Jacob can go in and pretend to be Esau and get the blessing instead of Esau. So Jacob is a little leery about doing this, but his mom is like, hey, this is what I want you to do. So you go out and do what I told you to do. And Jacob does that. So Jacob winds up getting the blessing. In the end, Jacob winds up having to run to his uncle Laban, who is Rebekah's brother, for safety, because Esau decides he's going to kill Jacob for this little sleight of hand. And we find that since Esau has married this Hittite woman, he's even less desirable. So he was looked at as being the lesser in the second level, but now he really is grouped with these Canaanites. And Rebekah really wants Jacob to be grouped as part of her kin, a Syrian. So he runs up to Syria to be a part of Rebekah's kin. But we really are not sure whether or not Jacob is actually the higher being, or the one that really should get the blessing. Up until now, the reason why Esau has been looked at as below is because of Esau's actions. Esau is the one who didn't look at his birthright as being this worthy thing. It doesn't necessarily follow that Jacob is now more worthy of the blessing. And so while Jacob is there in the land of Laban, his uncle, he is tested for 21 years as to his trustworthiness. And Jacob proves that he can deal honestly with people. For 21 years, he deals honestly with his uncle Laban, even though his uncle keeps changing the rules and keeps changing the agreements and tries to really get over on him through deceit. And so the fourth level is that Jacob actually does earn the blessing. He earns it through his 21 years of honesty of working with his uncle Laban. So, but near the end of that, Laban is kind of looking at this whole thing. He's seeing Jacob get very rich, and he's feeling, I'm going to have to do something about this because all of my wealth seems to be going into Jacob's pocket. And so Jacob decides it's time for me to go. His cousins are looking at him, and it's getting back to his ear that maybe they might be plotting to kill him. So he's like, it's time for us to go. So he takes his wives and his children, and they set off on the road. In between times, Rachel steals some of her father's idols. And they must be some mighty expensive idols, because he comes running after them, not just to get his daughters back and perhaps even his sheep, what he still views as his sheep, but to find out who has stolen his idols. And Rachel, of course, hides them in her satchel and sits on them on her camel. She has them underneath her tuchus, and she says, hey, I can't get up from here because I'm kind of in a womanly way. And of course, her husband, Jacob, says, hey, look it, I didn't steal your idol, but if you find it on anybody, you're welcome to kill them if you can find it. Whoever has it, they need to pay. And so Laban goes about from tent to tent looking for his idols, and he can't find them. But what he doesn't know is that Rachel stole them, and then she's sitting on it. So they leave, but Rachel really doesn't come across as this upstanding, better than the Hittites kind of woman. And unfortunately, she perishes on the way back to the land of Canaan. So in the fifth level, we find judgment. Judgment is something happens and someone pays the price for it. And this is what happens to Rachel on the way back to Canaan. In the sixth level of law, we find that when Jacob gets back to Canaan, right before he crosses over a tiny brook, he wrestles with an angel at Peniel. And that's when his name gets changed from Jacob, the usurper, to Israel, God prevails. And so this new rule comes over Jacob's life, that even though he's done this struggle, there's a blessing at the end. And that's really what his struggle with the angel indicates. That after struggling and fighting for whatever it is, at the end of the day, they get the blessing. And this has been the overall theme of Israel's, the nation's whole existence. They've gone through struggles, but at the end of the day, here's this blessing. And that is almost like a kind of an aside law over the nation of Israel. Lastly, when we get to Malkuth, which is the state of rest, we find that there is a reuniting of Esau and Jacob. Esau has forgiven Jacob. Jacob has come bearing gifts to Esau. And as brothers, they're happy to see each other. And they are both blessed by each other's presence. They are reunited. And so this ends the cycle of Kabbalah. We see that each step is played out in the lives of Jacob and Esau in this story. If you want to know more about Jewish and Christian symbology, please join us on Facebook, where we talk about symbolism, prophecy, hidden meanings in the Bible, philosophy, and Kabbalah.